Hi, I've been very busy making watercolor paints by hand and with the beginning of school, so I haven't been posting videos, but I wanted to do one showing you my sketchbook from France. And this is a sketchbook I actually bought in Lille, and it's made in France by Lana, which is a lovely paper manufacturer that's been around, I guess, since 1590. Europeans are very proud of their historical background. But this is not really good quality paper. In fact, it's not 100% cotton, it's cellulose, and I only realized that even though I spent about an hour in the art shop, I only realized after I started painting on it that the paint tends to sit on the surface. It doesn't get absorbed as it does in paper that's cotton. But I had fun with it anyways, and I started by using my fountain pen, a platinum ink fountain pen, and I did all the detail by pen until I realized that I really was not enjoying the process. The architecture in northern France is far more complex than it is, say, in southern Italy. A lot of detail, and it's easy to get bogged down by them. And I was. So I started, first of all, going very light. So this still has pen. This is a train station that we first arrived at in Lille. And I started going lighter and lighter. This is a city, the town of Arras. It's about under an hour train ride from Lille, and it has two beautiful places, place, squares. One is called La Petite Place and one is La Grande Place. And La Grande Place, unfortunately, has been turned into a parking lot. So La Petite Place is where there is no cars and you can sit and sketch and enjoy. But it was quite cold, so for the second sketch, we just were too cold to stay outside. And as you can see, it's not very completed. Then when we were in Lille, and here too, you still have a little bit of pen, very little. My husband took a French class in the morning, and there was this cafe where we would go have breakfast, and then he would go to class, and then I would go either do some work or sketch. And this is a view from the cafe. Another cafe that we went to didn't have any view. It was too hot and sunny to be outside. But they did have this adorable dough made of bronze, so I sketched that. And this is the first city sketch that I was pleased with and where I used no pen. And what I did is I just did a lot of layers. This is a prefecture, which is a wonderful building and plenty of places to sit and sketch it from. And on the 14th of July we were there. It's a government building, and they had a marching band. They weren't really marching, though. And they played lots of music, including some American songs, such as, I don't remember the title of it, but it's a Louis Armstrong song. And I thought it was really interesting that on the celebration of their national identity, the 14th of July is much like the 4th of July in the States, they chose to play a song that is not French. I like that. An open nationalism. This is a day that we visited Dunkirk, which is not a very beautiful town, but we did a gorgeous tour of the harbor. It's one of the largest harbors, and it was kind of cool. So these sketches are also rather quick. Here we found a tea house in front of the church, so we had tea and sketched the church. This sketch is in Lille, and it's dear to me because it's the first time I sketch with somebody else, and it's a lovely woman from Paris who actually I met on Facebook and came to Lille for the day, and we sketched together. This I purposefully left blank to remind me that sometimes you just don't have time for the whole sketch when you travel. Here is the park of the Citadel in Lille, and what's amazing about this sketch is that it was after 10:30 p.m. and it was still light, and Lille is quite far north, and so the sun didn't set until close to 11 p.m. It was especially nice that night because there was a lot of noise where we lived, and so it was nice to get away and go into a very secluded spot. And this is one of the decorations on the building of the old stock market, which has a really fun flea market inside on certain days. Here it's a quay. You can't really see this. I have a little video of this that I hope to post maybe on my Instagram. But there's water right in front here. It made my life easier by not painting it. And then these beautiful houses, different colors, a little bar here that I regret not going into. And France won the World Cup while we were there, so there were more French flags than usual. This is also an iconic spot in Lille. It's in the back of the cathedral, and if you look up pictures of old Lille, this image is probably going to come up because these houses are very old and well preserved. And one of the many cafes where we sat, it was a bit of a question in the afternoon what to do for the aperitif, because most people drink beer, and John and I don't really like beer and don't drink much alcohol. And this place had lovely fresh smoothies, and the ladies that own it, a mother-daughter, really liked the sketch and they wanted to buy it from me, and I felt bad because I didn't really want to pull it out. My husband, of course, said just pull it out and give it to them, but I told them I would go back and do a sketch just for them. And then this was towards the end of our stay and I didn't have a chance to, and I hope to do it. I should do it and send it to them via mail. I have a painting video of this, but I don't know if I'll post it. But this is a view from our apartment window, so it's my favorite view. One of the best views I've had from any places where I stayed. You have the 17th century houses, and then you have the oldest church in Lille, which is the Church of St. Catherine, just as beautiful inside as it is outside. And we were very lucky to see it there from our window. Plus, unlike Italian churches, it wasn't ringing every 15 minutes. It only rang when there was mass, so very civilized. The opera building struck me because even though, like most buildings, the colors are rather subdued, it had these banners advertising the upcoming operas, and there was a lot of red in it. And I just love that splash of red because it reminds me how my dad always expected somebody to wear red at family pictures because he said it brought light into the image. The cathedral is not especially nice. I avoided doing all the modern stuff here. But what's amazing about it is that this whole facade is alabaster. So from the outside, it looks gray and unimpressive. But from the inside, when the sun is on this side, so you see it from the other side, it's just so beautiful. The light is so bright. And in Old Lille on Sundays, they have a market, which includes flower stands, of course. And we happen to have cappuccino right in front of the flower stand. This is a building that reminds me of how fun it can be to sketch. I just laughed because as soon as I sat down and did the first sketch with pencil, a van parked right here. And it stayed there the whole time. When we waited, it just wouldn't leave. And then this area too was often covered by a van or another, but those stayed only a short time. So sketching while traveling has its own surprises. Then I ran out, so I went back to the art supply shop. There are two big ones in Lille, and I said, okay, this time I am going to buy good quality paper. So I got Arches. What I forgot about Arches is that the paper smells. I heard that they use animal sizing, which causes a smell. And now if you're doing a painting once in a while in a room, it's one thing, but to have a sketchbook that smells, it's not that pleasant. Anyways, as long as you're outside, it's okay. So I started this on a day trip we took to Paris. Lille has a fast train that gets you to Paris in less than an hour. And this fountain in Paris, it's in the center, is dear to me. First of all, because it's so whimsical and I really like it. Secondly, because the contrast of modern and old is striking. But thirdly, because this artist, Niki de Saint-Phal, who's now dead, lived in San Diego, California for a while, and a statue very similar to this one was erected in the campus of UC San Diego, where I did my undergraduate, right towards the end of my stay there. So it's interesting, from Paris to San Diego, from Europe to the States. It's kind of the path of my own life. So it was fun to sit here. We were the first people in that cafe early in the morning. We had croissant and coffee, and I got to sketch this, and this is just a wonderful memory for me. I also sat in front of Notre Dame and sketched that. That is one impressive church and rather daunting, but I enjoyed it. And my husband brought me cool water, and the little girl was sitting next to me, and we chatted while I was sketching, and she showed me her art, which she had photographed on her iPhone. Then a couple of days later, we went to Amiens, and this is, I think, the biggest, but definitely much, much bigger than Notre Dame. It's also called Notre Dame. Beautiful, very few people, no lines. And the funny thing about this is that I forgot, as I have before, that I'm both claustrophobic and I have fear of heights. And so when John and I heard that we could go up the towers, we got really excited, got tickets. I kept the tickets. I don't know if they're here. Yeah, here are the tickets for the towers. And I like this ticket because it shows a statue that's very famous inside the Cathedral of Amiens. It's called the Weeping Cherub, the Weeping Angel. And I consider it a real and true picture of me. Once I went up this tower, and I was just about here when I had a hysterical fit because I was claustrophobic. I started weeping in my husband's arms. He encouraged me. Then I realized there were only about 20 steps left to get to this part. So I figured, okay, I'm going to make it there. It's easier than going back down. It's faster. And get some air and regroup. So we went up this way, hysterical fit here, went out here, enjoyed the beautiful rose window. It wasn't really helpful for me to look out because I also have fear of heights. So I just looked up away from the emptiness. And then I thought, okay, I'm here. I might as well go up. So I did. It wasn't easy, but I made it to the top. And it was worth it. It was really beautiful, though, again, I didn't really look out that much. Then, much recollection, much soul searching. I didn't really have an option. I went really fast down and then stood here again, and then went down here. And then at the end, I rewarded myself with a lengthy sketch of the cathedral. My husband bought me the most wonderful rhubarb fizzy drink that I remember with much pleasure. This is towards the end of our stay in Lille. We sat at this cafe, I think it was Le Pain Quotidien, had a drink, enjoyed the sights, enjoyed the sketch. And then the cathedral that I showed you earlier, that's modern, has a very old bell tower. So that's what I sketched, and it was my very last sketch in Lille. We then went to Lisbon, Portugal, because my sister lives in Portugal, and we spent just 2 days there in time to sketch the cathedral with this wonderful, I like this better than the cathedral. At least it was more interesting to sketch. And this, we're lucky enough to have this as a view from the breakfast area of our hotel, a bridge that looks a lot like Golden Gate Bridge. I think it was done by the same architect. And that's it for Europe. Then we went to Maine to visit my in-laws. It was very hot, so I stayed in the air-conditioned motel room and sketched the art that was on the wall, which was actually kind of fun. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this sketchbook, about my trip, about sketching in general, I hope you all do some sketching when you travel because it's very rewarding. Thank you again. Bye.